fact, let's tell our viewers a little bit more about the effort by Donald Trump to somehow open the Strait of Hormuz that's virtually shut for US and its allies, as declared by Tehran. Now, it has, viewers, come in as a big embarrassment for US President Donald Trump, because just a couple of days ago, he urged his allies to help reopen really the Strait of Hormuz. He wanted allies to send warships and military assets to escort the oil vessels, because global crude oil prices are continuously going north. And he was snubbed by almost all NATO allies. Despite that, he tried to put up a brave face, saying that the US does not really need their help in the war. Listen in.
President in getting America's allies to assist the U.S. in escorting those oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, we don't need too much help, and we don't need any help, actually. All of the NATO allies agreed with us, but they don't want to, despite the fact that we help them so much. We have thousands of soldiers in different countries all over the world, and they don't want to help us, which is amazing. I mean, amazing. And I didn't do a full court press, because I think if I did, they probably would be. But we don't need help. I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake, and I've long said that I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. So this was a great test, because we don't need them, but they should have been there.
Now, viewers, from Spain to the United Kingdom to Germany, Europe is pushing back. It seems that there are no takers for Donald Trump's theory on the Middle East war. Now, even the European Union leaders are saying that they don't really clearly understand Washington's objectives. Poland is drawing a red line, no troops to Iran, calling the conflict outside its core security concerns. And Greece is also making it clear that it will stay out of the active operations. A growing chorus of dissent, a widening trust gap. Is the US standing alone as the war narrative unravels is the question. Now, that question, viewers, is being asked because of continuous shifting of the goalpost as far as US President Donald Trump is concerned, because he's not been clear, he's not been consistent from the beginning about the objective of the war. Some days he says it's just an excursion. Some days he calls it a war. Take a look at different statements from Donald Trump over the past few days.
This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that. We did a little excursion. We had to take this little few weeks. You never like to say too early you won. We won. We won the bet. In the first hour, it was over. We've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. It's an excursion that will keep us out of a war.
Maybe we shouldn't even be there at all.
Now, viewers, a top US counterterrorism official has resigned over the Iran war, citing a strong disagreement with the administration's stance. The departure of Joe Kent marks the first major high-level exit over the conflict, exposing divisions within Washington. Reacting to the resignation, US President Donald Trump said Kent was a nice guy, but weak on security, adding that it was a good thing that he's out. Now, this development underscores growing tensions within the US leadership over the ongoing war with Iran.
Mr. President, your Director of National Counterterrorism, Joe Kent, he just resigned today. He said he can't support your conflict with Iran. What's your reaction to that? And did you talk
Well, I read his statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security.
Now, viewers, US President Donald Trump has also reposted an old message from Joe Kent on Truth Social, calling for a strike on Iran's ballistic capabilities and urging US troops to leave Iraq. Kent's original post said the US should wipe Iran's ballistic capability out to prevent further attacks. Now, this resurfaced post, in fact, has reignited debate over the US military strategy towards Iran, with critics warning such rhetoric could escalate the tensions further. And this is the post, in fact, that we are talking about that has now been put out by, that has, in fact, emerged on social media. Now, this has been put out by US President Donald Trump. Now, here, Joe Kent has reportedly said he's asking Donald Trump that we should not sit and wait for the next attack, wipe Iran's ballistic capability out and get our troops out of Iraq. And they are our only targets now. Now, US WIA KIA is a tribute to the professionalism of our military and intel professionals, not Iranian restraint. So this is the post, in fact, that he had put out, that Donald Trump, in fact, had put out to tell that how, he probably at one point in time did support, in fact, attack on Iran.